Oh, football with friends is fun as hell. My name is Alex Dunlap, as you can see, joined today here on a Final Takes Friday, a championship Final Takes Friday by Cody Carpentier. You can find him on Twitter at Carpentier NFL. You could generally find him in the chat, goofing off with some of you guys. And speaking of the chat, man, boy, how happy I am to see all you guys here on a big Friday. Jay Ward, of course, Craig Simlinger, Colby S., Stanley Spadowski in the chat saying he's here. We can get started now. We can indeed. We're gonna bring on Blake here in a second. Blake's gonna go through with the Final Takes Friday questions, and of course, we'd like to hear your final takes. Hey, we're gonna answer your questions. So it's the it used to be before the season started. It was like the AAA Fridays, the Ask Alex Anything. Now, when we got Cody on, it's Ask the Boys Anything, man. Whatever you got, whatever's on your mind, whether it's about the NFL, the Longhorns, fantasy football, NFL draft. I saw Cody today. Cody, a big slab of meat. I like that thing so much that I had to give it a like on Twitter. People were actually giving you some trouble. What? Oh, you already have it all ready to go. All right. So look at this. So on the first one, now what is that seasoning looks awfully black to me.
Yeah, that's dirt. That's dirt seasoning. So that's like a salt, a garlic. I bought it at the store. I can't remember what the brand is, but it's a salt, a garlic, a little paprika in there, a little onion salt, and then it's got like what makes it black is there's a soy sauce seasoned blend that kind of brings out the black in the entirety of the seasoning.
Oh, a little bit of soy sauce, and then you look at it. Or don't tell me you're just eating butter on the side with this stuff.
So you can see obviously that first picture the first picture of the raw meat, right?
Yeah,
is you can see like the cast iron has like a bunch of shit in it.
Yeah,
and it's
a bunch of stuff. Family show. Yeah,
it's got a bunch of stuff in it. Sorry, and that stuff is I've made bacon. I make bacon for breakfast every day, so I just leave the bacon grease in there and warm it up, and it's just doused with bacon grease.
Yeah,
so that steak in there. That's how I make it, and then. At the end, you can see the top of the steak looks glossy. That's because I put a bunch of butter on there and that's melted. Those little cubes, that's a Gruyere cheese that I eat with it.
A Gruyere? I always thought it was Gruyere.
Whatever. Boris said Gruyere.
Who's always mispronouncing stuff.
I don't know. I am mispronouncing too.
Good, but absolutely no vegetables, right? No vegetables with that.
No. You're lucky I got cheese on the side. Yesterday I got a couple blackberries on the side. You're lucky I had 3 blackberries on the side.
When's the last time you ate a vegetable? Do you remember?
So it's funny because I was talking to my sister about this yesterday, and she was like FaceTiming me. She's like, "You don't ever eat vegetables." Using my salad.
Yeah.
And I opened up my refrigerator, and it's like chicken, ribeye, bacon. I think that's all I have in there right now, literally. And on the counter, I have like some little red potatoes. And I was like, these red potatoes are the only vegetables in my house right now. My wife's on a bachelorette party weekend. So I'm just like sitting here by myself. No vegetables in the entire house. Only a couple blackberries and some potatoes.
Oh, there you go. All right, cool. So yeah, big show for you here today. Of course, our theme will be talking about your most important hunting accessory. So you got to just name one. There's a million things. You guys know how it is with. I think it's probably like this, even if you don't hunt or you don't fish. Maybe if you're into golf or you like. Whenever grown men and women, they get into something, and it's just you spend a lot of money on extra accessories. What is the one that's the most important though for hunting? I certainly have my views on that. We'll get into it with Blake a little bit later. Of course, we have the final takes with Cody Carpentier. We're going to talk about some NFL Week 4 storylines. We'll get into it with Cody. I mean, as long as we have Cody here, we got to talk some NFL. I'm down to 4 picks now in my circuit picks. I'm going to see if he can try and talk me on to Houston now with the news that he's brought to me about just how bad their offensive line looks in that Houston-Pittsburgh game. We have the Arch Manning stuff that I wanted to talk about yesterday, the Eli Manning interview on Yahoo Sports with Jason Fitz, sort of what he was saying about, what the family sort of thought about that timeline. And then we have, it's a Flex Friday. It's a Flex Friday at Prize Picks. So we are going to go into Prize Picks and see if we can tell ourselves a story about some of these games tonight. Cody, you said some of the games tonight are actually pretty good, right?
Yeah, we got Cincinnati, BYU. BYU is a team that Texas plays in 3-4 weeks. And Cincinnati's got Emory Jones. BYU's got Keaton Slovis at quarterback. Also, BYU played Kansas last week. And then the other game is Oregon State, Utah that I want to watch. And Oregon State, Utah. Oregon State has DJ Ungalele from Clemson. and Utah is just a ranked team that's been pretty good over the last couple of years. So we got actually some decent games on a Good Friday.
All right, and we got everybody in the chat for sure. So happy to see all you guys. Adam Murrell, Nathan, David Hitt. So good to see you boys. BK817, great to see you. Oh, and guess what he did? He liked the video already. So thank you very much, BK817. If you guys, I have it written right here. Please like and subscribe to the channel. Look, we got over 100 likes yesterday. Let's see if we can get to 100 likes again today. It's super easy to do. You just click the like button. And now that I've gotten it twice in a row to 100 likes just by asking you guys and pestering you guys, and that means I've been positively reinforced to continue pestering you. So I'm just going to keep doing it. So if you guys can just continue liking the show, I would definitely appreciate that. Jay Ward says that Cody's hair is starting to turn orange as well. Cody, is your hair starting to turn orange?
What?
I got new lights.
What?
I went to the store today and I got new lights to see if it could fix this thing with making my hair look orange. I swear to God, guys, my hair's not orange. And I got the lights with the different settings on them. And I went through the settings before the show with Blake and with Cody, and they're like, "No, man, like that, like some of them make your face look weird, but your hair looks orange no matter what you do." Anyway, so yeah, please like the show, and you can leave a comment below if you think my hair is orange or Cody's, whatever else. Stoopsified's giving us the old face palm. I'm not sure exactly what that's about.
I think he commented that when you were showing the steak, so I think we got an Oklahoma fan in here that might be vegan.
No, got it. Okay, well that would make sense. Let's see. Darwin Lemon. Oh my gosh, look at Darwin Lemon's new Abby. Is that Catch?
I love it. I love that.
That looks like Catch to me.
It is.
Okay. Jareth Mulholland. So good to see you, brother. All of you guys. And then the one thing I didn't tell Cody about, and I didn't tell Blake about either. Blake, I'm going to forward you this email right now because we can put this up. Hold on. Sorry about that. Got this. I thought I usually get my phone turned off before this stuff. Let's see. So email this to Blake, get it over to you. But then wanted to show the people too. I met up with the merch guy today, Hector. Super cool guy. Guess what he gave me? A prototype. Check this out.
Ooh.
Still brand new. We're still working on it. But look at that. Football with friends. Fun as hell. Can you believe it?
Whoa.
We got hats. We got hats. He also made it. He also made another one. That
the white one.
Yeah, another one that I can't show because whenever I took it out and I showed my kids, my son just took it and he says, "This is mine." He's walking around saying, "Football with friends is fun as hell. It's fun as hell." So Blake, whenever he gets that, he can put it up on the screen, man. The
oh yeah, look at that.
Yeah. Like I said, Nathan, it says the orange looks off for one. Let me tell you one thing. Oh man. Look at my son, man. That's a good looking boy, huh? It's a nice looking hat. It's a prototype. So if you guys decide it looks a little off, man, I can just call him and tell him, like, hey, I think it could be the lighting too, because it makes my hair look orange. So it probably just but we're gonna have Blake get with them, and these guys will knock out what they want, and we're gonna get a link up next week for these hats.
Very cool.
Check it out. He's got some shirts and stuff too, man. So good stuff. Anyway, so that is his hair looks orange too. It may be the lights. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It could be off. I don't know. Like I'm gonna have Blake figure it out, man. Blake's gonna talk to the merch guy. He's gonna take care of all this. So anyway, let's see. Hard to tell with the color on the computer. If you think it's burnt orange, I trust you. I don't know. I'm colorblind. I've told you guys a million times. I was like, I really don't know. And people are always like, "You're colorblind, man. That sucks, dude. You can't see colors." But I'm like, no, I see all the colors. I see the world in Technicolor. Like, I guess just whenever you show me like a big plot of stuff, like we have to have colorblind people in the chat, right? It's like, you guys know how it is. Like it's like I see it black and white, like I'm a dog or something like this. I guess some of
the reds and greens are off or something like that.
Yeah,
I'm not sure, but
yeah, I will. I'll ask my wife, Nathan. Trust me, man. Like we're gonna have this all figured out. Everything's gonna be perfect. It's gonna be nice and smooth. It's just prototypes. It looks sick though, huh? All right, let's get into it with the final takes. Before that, Cody, let me just ask you. It's just about the Arch Manning stuff. I'm sure you didn't see the interview, but Eli Manning was getting interviewed by this dude Jason Fitz, and I guess he's with Yahoo, or I'm not sure exactly what it is. Adam Murrell said the hat's actually purple. The lighting makes it.
That's funny.
So it's just interesting to me as we find out. Oh my gosh,
Tackles are
Jeremy,
out.
the tackles for the Texans,
Yep.
they're all out, man. And that's Josh Jones. That's the second tackle they've had to bring.
Josh
in.
Jones sucks too. That's the bad thing.
Well, he was a good. Do you remember his Senior Bowl? I thought he was going to be good. I don't know. Anyway, so yeah, I think that Pitt minus 2.5 thing that you were talking about could be back in play again. We're going to talk about the circuit picks. I've talked myself via some injury stuff onto Cincinnati this weekend, I think, versus Tennessee. You're not into that at all, Cody? Every week I think to myself, why do so many people in the contest bet on Tennessee? They stink.
Tennessee's defensive line's dirty.
Yeah, but their offensive line's just worst in the league.
The offense is like this. That's the thing. We just don't know what you're going to get on offense, and I think Cincinnati's defense is good enough to slow down Tennessee's offense. Also, no Burks, and Hopkins does not look like himself. And so I think the defensive line
got the foot.
Tennessee's defensive line is good. It's just that I want to see something out of Cincinnati, dude. I haven't been.
I thought in the last game, man, in the end when they just started peppering Jamar Chase, it's like when they get back to that, dude, I'm stacking up Burrow and Chase and Higgins this week in DFS. Right. That secondary is just putrid for the Titans. Okay, but anyway, about the Arch Manning stuff.
Oh, Arch Manning.
Okay. So, what do you think as somebody who maybe wasn't following the recruitment quite as close? I guess you kind of were following it close because you and I talked about it a lot about what was gonna happen with Ewers, what was gonna happen with Malik Murphy. Now that Arch Manning's here, it's clear that Arch Manning might not even play this season. Period. Right? Like he just might not even play. And what Eli Manning was saying was they asked him, like, what do you think about your nephew, his lack of playing time so far? And he's like, man, I just told him the same thing as I would tell any other member of my family. It's like, you're in college, you're down in Austin. Like, you need to just take this time and enjoy being a college student and understanding what that's all about. And, really get to know your teammates, enjoy being around those dudes. These are moments you're never going to get back. Just a really good 10,000-foot view of sort of what a good, like fatherly or sort of, familial advice for a young man would be in a spot like that. He said, dude, for me, I redshirted 1 year. I sat the bench the next year after I was redshirted. And then he said he just played, he played as a starter for 3 years after that. And he thought that was perfectly fine. He said whenever he first got into the league for the first 14 games of his, or 13 or 14 games of his rookie season, he didn't play. He said that was something that was like super actually critical to me. He's like, I didn't want to. I wanted to go there. I wanted to sit. I forgot the quarterback he sat behind. I think it was Kerry Collins, or I forgot what it was.
In Giants, yeah.
Yeah. He said that, like, that was a time when I could just like sit, I thought I knew a lot about football, but I got to the NFL and just like, it's the same thing from high school to college. Like it's such an assimilation process. Right. And, there's this stuff that we're both getting alerts at the same time. Charlie football goes on IR. Yeah.
I love that.
Bengals rookie Charlie Jones goes on IR. This is how it always is on Friday, guys. We're going to be getting practice reports, and Cody and I are super tuned into it because it means a lot about. Hey, have you seen your DFS picks yet, Cody?
I was supposed to do it last night, wasn't I?
It's fine. It's fine. Just
I'll do it after this.
Just like shoot them over whenever. But like, so we're having to do this for the DFS cheat sheets and for the rankings updates. So we're gonna have to keep an eye on this stuff. But we're gonna keep you guys up to date with what we see. The other thing, it's oh my gosh, the Chargers are placing Corey Linsley on a IR tomorrow for a non-emergency heart-related medical issue. Oof.
That's
tough, man, because we were talking about the Chargers as one of these offensive lines. It was just looking like it was coming along. He's absolutely one of the best. Okay. Back to Arch Manning. And Eli was saying, basically, that's what, he's almost saying like, that's kind of what the family would prefer, is for him not to play much. Right. But here's the thing. I really took notice of the fact that he mentioned I like the way that I did it, where I redshirted, and then my second year, I sat behind another guy. So my question for you is, if when we get into springtime, this is gonna dominate the discussion. But I figured it'd be like, do you think when we come into next season, what is the narrative going to be then? Because I don't think that we can just write it down in stone. I don't think anybody can write it down in stone that Malik Murphy is going to be just a one and done guy at Texas. To me, it looks like he's got a lot of developing that he still needs to do too, right? So I think at some point you say to yourself, okay, if Malik hasn't shown enough to where it's like he's definitely one and done, or he's even if he is one and done, it feels like coming into next year, is Sarge just going to say, look, it's an open competition for both these guys, even though Malik was Malik was ahead of him this whole time. How do you think this is all going to play out?
I think so. I hate the title of this article too. It says Eli Manning on FU Arch's lack of playing time at Texas. I think it's a terrible titling.
These guys do terrible. They a lot of these big media spots have terrible.
And I get it. I get it too. Like, it's an interview with Eli Manning, and they're trying to get the clicks. 100%, I understand that. But I think it's great. It was a great way for Eli Manning to kind of get his thoughts out there, because it is important for a guy like Arch to sit for a minute. Right. It's the heat that he came in with out of high school, and the expectation, of course, to fill in shoes like Peyton and Eli and be better, which is what the expectation seems like it is at this certain point in his, as far as his career as a whole, is to be up in that Eli and potentially Peyton area, which is like unimaginable. Like, the last person I feel like that had that same type of like shoes to fill, it was like when LeBron James was, gifted the chosen one, right, back in Sports Illustrated when he's coming out of high school. Like, that's the type of situation that Arch kind of feels himself in, I would say. So as far as like sitting for a year and the way Eli tied that in and saying, I think he should do exactly kind of what I did, sit for a year, and then that second year you're battling for that job. Like, that's what he should be doing next spring. You said about it, like, in the spring, is it going to be Malik versus Arch, or is it just going to be Malik's job to go one and done next year? I think it's going to be a competition between these two guys, because you saw a little flash from Arch, right? He had that long touchdown during, was it spring ball? And Malik, I think he's a good ball spinner, but like you said, he's got a little bit of a way to go. So I think regardless, Texas is sitting in a good situation at the quarterback position going into next year and the following. My question for you is, if Arch beats out Malik in the spring, is Malik gone, or because I don't know what his NIL stuff is looking at right now, but what if Arch beats him out in the spring? Is Malik gone, or does Malik say, okay, that means I need more work to do, I'm going to sit here and I'm going to be the best possible backup I can be, and then play for 2 years behind Arch and then play? And that do you think that there's a world where Malik gets beat out in the spring, stays for 2 years, and then plays in what would be 2026 as a?
That's an insanely circuitous kind of run.
No, I know, but you have to open your brain to it now, because what if it happens in the spring, right? What if Arch takes a job in the spring? Is Malik just gone, or do you think there's a world where he waits for? Because if he waits for a year, he's going to wait for 2 years, more than likely, right? Unless, like, we know injuries happen across anything. So, like, I'm just asking that question point blank. Do you think that there's a world where Malik does stay, or do you think he just completely bounces if Arch beats him out in the spring?
Oh,
that's my question.
Yeah, he bounces easy. He goes back home to someplace near California. Gotcha. I mean, it's very simple. And look, there's some talk in the chat with people saying stuff like, I think my opinion is Quinn should come back, or that's here's the guys, Quinn's not coming back. So that's not going to happen. It hasn't been in the cards for him. From everything we've heard, it hasn't been in the cards from his family. It's just it's not. It's just, this has been the goal, is to get here to this year. The NFL teams are already looking at him like, I don't know.
Regardless if we think he's pro ready or not, the thing is the way the season's already unfolding. It's like when it's like when NFL teams win a Super Bowl or go on their long runs, right? You are in the moment so much right now that you have a bunch of these big contracts and stuff. You win the Super Bowl and you're going to lose a bunch of guys. Like, this is just the team. They're in it. They're going on the run. Are they going to go undefeated? Well, that'll be yet to be seen, but they're going to be in it till the end, is what it looks like right now. And this team is just, at the end of the year, It's going to move over. Adonai is going to go pro. X is going to go pro. Quinn's going to go pro. And then it's going to be on to the next team. Like, this is just part of the grouping, I think. And I think that's just to say, oh, Quinn's going to come back is like a naive way of viewing the entire situation as a whole and viewing what the prospects are that are in line behind all of these guys.
Yeah, and whenever you guys probably in the chat, you're just like, what? Like, this sounds different. But you just have to understand that Cody and I have been what you do. I mean, Cody was on the road for how many, for how long during the training camps, and Cody and I go on the road to go to these different training facilities and these, these college pro days and these, the scouting combine and the Senior Bowl, and we're at the roster watches at the Shrine Bowl. All these games, man, we get to be around scouts. We talk to these guys. We develop relationships, and I wish everybody could just know the way that these guys. It's just like the way that they talk about Ewers and the way that Cody was saying, like, some of you guys might think it's kind of weird that he just threw in AD Mitchell just being absolutely gone. Well, if you talk to scouts, they don't it's almost like they don't. It's like the conversation that we keep on having with Alfred Collins, right? That one scout that told me, he's like, I'm like, what if he breaks out this year? Like, is he going to be a guy this year after? And he's like, I don't care if he breaks out this year. It's like, I don't care. Like, I know the kind of player he can be. It's like, I don't care. That doesn't really matter if he breaks out, like, all the better. And you're thinking to yourself, Adonai Mitchell, what he's gonna go pro after probably he's probably gonna average 4 receptions a game. Like, are you kidding? But the fact of the matter is, the scouts have had their eye on this dude since he's 18 years old. It's been the same thing with Quinn. This has kind of been in the car. This is all like Cody said. It would take a major unforeseen circumstance for Worthy, for AD, for JT Sanders, for Quinn Ewers, for any of these guys to come back. So
that's the bunch. That's the group. They're gone. Like, that. You just need to be okay with that and understand that's how things work. Like,
right.
There's talent coming in. There's still Jonte, there's Baxter, there's all these other guys, Arch, Malik. Like, there's talent that comes. That's college football. That's just the way it is. And even I see the comment. I know Sherman's the one. He's like, if I was him, I would go back.
Yeah, right.
It's not about, like, I understand. We understand that. Like, yes, we know he needs another year, but it's also just the situation. Knowing, even though he's not pro ready, like, there's still projection there. And that's what NFL teams look at a lot. People forget about the projection side of things. Like, that's Trayvon Walker. Why was he a top 5 pick? Tyree Wilson. Why was he a top 10 pick? Not because they did a bunch in college, but because there's projection there with arm length, et cetera, et cetera. And that's why Alfred Collins is getting that conversation, even though he's not breaking out, because the NFL teams all think, what, Alex? They all think, well, we can make him this, we can make him that. That's just how it works.
And then, but here's the other thing. And I know that with a guy like Quinn, if a big donor wanted him to come back, wanted to do some NIL deal with him, or the NIL collective wanted to come to, it's like, even, I mean, it probably wouldn't, it would be more than, say, like a Colin Simmons, like $400K. Like, it would certainly be something substantial, right? It'd be a big amount of money. But the fact is, it's like you get, I mean, especially if it's a first round kind of thing, you're talking about a contract where it's guaranteed for 4 years. There's a 5th year tapped on for a team option. It's like, you're talking about, it's like, for people like us, people like me and Cody, we're like, a donor's gonna give him $1 million and he gets to stay in college for another year. Like, all right, give me the $1 million. I'll stay in college. I'll go eat Pluckers, on the weekends and, meet all the girls and stuff. But it's like, we're talking about, like, orders of magnitude in difference as far as your lifetime earning potential, and also just as far as the level of risk that you're, assuming to be able to come back for a year. Like, the opportunity cost is tremendous. I don't think that I understand what you mean about how NIL can really, really sway a guy like, say, last year, Tavondre Sweat, right? He gets a donor coming around saying, like, look, you've gotten your feedback from the scouts. They're saying you're a day 3 pick. Who knows what it's going to be this year? Like, look, we got like $350K set aside. We're gonna make sure it gets your way. We're gonna be like, you want to talk to my guy at Ferrari of Austin? Not that he could fit in a Ferrari, I don't think. I saw a Ferrari at Specs. Specs, by the way, over in Bee Cave the other day, they had a customer with a Ferrari out front. I thought to myself, geez, dude, there's no room in that. I don't think there's even a back seat in Ferraris. So I doubt but say they would give him like a Hummer deal or something. It's like, for something like that, that's something where, it can make sense, right? to keep a guy for a guy to say, or for a fan or for somebody analyzing the situation to say, well, because of NIL, it's changed a lot of stuff. For a guy that's scheduled to be a developmental future franchise quarterback for an NFL team, and that's how scouts see him, he's going to get drafted accordingly. It's just it's a different thing than getting a defensive lineman who, or like this year, man, there was some interesting stuff actually, even before we talk about final takes, some really interesting stuff in the war room this week. And we don't usually talk about the war room on here because it's like the signature piece at Orange Bloods. It's behind the paywall. But I think to show you guys kind of the value of what you can find at Orange Bloods, I'd like to, and then since all the premium members have already read it, we can sort of talk about some of these things because I thought Blake, did you read yesterday's War Room? It was a good one, man. It was packed with stuff. One of the things though was about how this year things are coming to a head now with Byron Murphy. About making sure, they got to make sure he comes back, and I don't know exactly. I can guess why. It's because if Collins is gone and if Sweat is gone, then you're beginning to feel like, man, it's like you feel okay about Vernon Broughton, but are you telling me that the frontline guy is going to be Sidney Mitchell or Aaron Bryant? We've talked about how Aaron Bryant deserves to be on the back of that same milk carton as Alfred Collins and old Ryan Winfrey he should be on that train with Ryan Winfrey waiting for the Alfred Collins disco party. This whole thing now they're with Byron Murphy, the NIL stuff makes sense, right? Because but I just think that that's the way that we need to think about it. So we're gonna get into the final takes, but I just had this idea. I think it's a great idea. We're gonna take you guys behind the curtain, behind the paywall, and talk about some of the neat things and some of the things that kind of prove old Alex right on some of the things I've been saying. I'm not saying. I'm just saying. We're gonna talk about it next.
This Orange Bloods recruiting flashback focuses on one of the biggest UT football stars of the last decade. Bijan Robinson was a 5-star prospect by rivals when he signed with the Longhorns, finishing as the nation's number 18 overall prospect, the second best prospect in the state of Arizona, and the number 1 running back in the country, according to Rivals.com. Upon retrospect, it's kind of amazing that former running backs coach Stan Drayton was able to land Robinson when you consider that Ohio State was perceived as a massive leader for much of his recruitment. In fact, on the day he committed, Rivals.com recruiting analyst Adam Gorney told Orange Bloods, quote, even after the Atlanta 5-star challenge, it almost felt like Ohio State was the foregone winner, Gorney said that day. But as it got closer, I think the realization that he would basically be going across the country to play football kind of set in. He really, really liked Texas and USC a lot, had connections to both schools, liked the staffs, and how they would use him, and wound up finding a school closer to home that he was very happy with. It wasn't until Robinson visited Texas on an unofficial visit for the spring game in April that Texas began to make it surge. By the time June rolled around, a couple of months later, the Longhorns had emerged as a team to beat in his recruitment. Robinson was a part of a 2020 recruiting class that finished 14th in the nation that year in the Rivals.com rankings, and what turned out to be the final full recruiting class for Tom Herman. A few years later, and there's not a ton of meat on the bone with respects to the elite prospects from that year outside of Robinson. Jake Majors and Jaron Thompson remain as a few of the higher ranked players in that class, but it's actually 2 of the lower ranked prospects in the class, Jahdae Barron and Jalon Ford, that have made the biggest impact as the class begins to wrap up its contribution to the Texas football program.
No matter what you're needing, Specs same-day delivery can save the day with our Specs app or online shopping. From world-class wines to hard-to-find spirits and craft beers to gourmet foods, delicious snacks, and spectacular sweets. It's Specs. Cheers to savings.
Oh, yes, football with friends. It's fun as hell, man. I'm Alex Dunlap here with Cody Carpentier. Of course, we got Blake Skaggs, the man behind the scenes, and the man here in front of it. But Blake just does it all, man. He's going to be the host of Final Takes here in just 1 quick second. Of course, if you're enjoying the show, if you could subscribe, that would be fantastic. You can also email me, alex@rosterwatch.com, whatever hijinks you have. Hey, Blake, I forwarded you something from Jay Ward. Have you previewed that yet?
I think I got it. Let me pull this up.
Is it him shooting ducks again?
Yeah, that's what it is. Let's go ahead and watch
All
it.
right, man, let's check it out.
I need a better look at this. Hold on.
There it is.
That's Kelly.
Got him.
Got him.
Got him.
Model left that not to hit that.
Yes, that's a.
There you go.
This is the sound of some Peking duck right there. All right, Jay Ward, our guy.
Jay
man.
Ward.
Of course, Specs. The Specs chat line is brought to you by Specs Wine, Spirits, and Finer Foods. World-class service that's all about you, dating back to 1962. And Specs is where I always love to go. The very most. I would not do my my shopping for liquor, wine, beer anywhere else. And as Cody or Blake could tell you, big consumer of tequila around the old Dunlap household. So Specs one of my favorite spots to be for sure. Of course, the chat line is brought to you by Specs. I'm going to convince Alex one of these days to come over for a duck hunt, bring Blake and Cody. I'm not saying I'm totally against it. It doesn't seem, but Jay Ward, it doesn't seem like you are. You're. It's mainly what I'm worried about is having my feet in that marshy, icy, wet water. That's just, I'm not interested in that. We talk about the most important hunting accessory. I truly do think that the most important accessory is just warm gear. Like just, you're just, you're just your overall, the warmness of your kit, right? Like everything should be merino wool, everything. I was thinking that probably the most important accessory, if you're not just talking about you're not just talking about your weapon, or your knives for cleaning and stuff. I would say that it's probably binoculars.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. That's number one.
But think about this, Blake. Just think about it. If you, let's just say that you're in a ground blind, or I don't do a ton of tree blinds, or just regular box blinds, ground blinds, or
all sorts of blinds.
Okay, so let's just say you're in a let's say you're in a tree blind. Okay.
Okay, open a tree.
Well, you wouldn't be in a tree with a rifle. Let's just say you're in a ground blind, but it's still cold, right? It's cold. Right. Okay. Would you because you have to have the windows open to be able to have your lines of sight. So it's cold. Okay. And you're sitting there and it's the end of the rut, say right after Thanksgiving. And it's like one of these cold days, right? Cold. Would you rather be warm and just to kind of have to look through your spotting scope and use that as your binoculars? Or have the binoculars and be cold?
Yeah, it depends on the elements. It depends on the situation. But I think more often than not, the binoculars are more important.
Oh, then not freezing your tuchus off?
Depends on the situation. Yeah, but I'm saying overall, like that's one situation, right, where you need the warm clothes, maybe more than the binoculars. But overall, most situations. Is freezing your tuchus off? Is that like freezing your butt off? I had a friend whose grandmother used to tell us to get off our tuchus. Okay. I'm not sure where she was from. She kind of had an accent and stuff. All right. Focus. Okay. The thing about maybe somebody can let us know what it like is tuchus. What is that? Is that
tuchus is butt, dude?
Yeah, it's butt.
Yeah, but what is it from? Is it French?
Oh, that's some old granny stuff.
Yeah, it's like a grandma thing. Yeah. Okay. All right. So the couple things I wanted to say about the War Room. Once again, great War Room by catching the guys last night. For those who don't know, it's just basically it's a column each week that a bunch of the people can contribute to. And Catch and Onwar had good segments. It was so what I mentioned earlier about the stuff is the number one priority is going to be Byron Murphy as far as the retention guys this year. And I find it interesting. I'm gonna have to reach out to some of my scouting guys to ask them if if they're sort of picturing him coming out. It feels like if that's happening, it's sort of happened. It feels like it's happening a little bit suddenly. It feels like I've been the one standing on top of standing on a soapbox, just yelling about Byron Murphy for so long. And then all of a sudden now it's like everybody's, saying maybe he could leave for the NFL. So kind of interesting there. The other thing was that, Catch talked to another scouting source and he just said it's stock way up for T'Vondre Sweat and Xavier Worthy.
stock way up. And so, like I've been saying, I think with Worthy, honestly, guys, sometimes all it takes is just kind of one play with a guy like him, for people to sort of see the speed. And it was that run up the sidelines. I thought it was up the west sidelines, but I think it was up actually up the east sidelines whenever I watched it back, where he just went from 0 to 60 and like alien force speed. You know, it's like that's what people mean around the program when they say, look, based on the catapult data and stuff like that, he's gonna run sub 4.3.
Yeah. Not saying he has Tyreek Hill speed, but he looked like Tyreek Hill in that play.
Right. Almost like a guy who could just transported his body from place to place.
Yeah.
And I think it's that combined with the fact that really combined with two facts. Because Cody, I mean, I'd be interested to hear what you think of this. But do you remember last year the main thing that our main takeaway? So Tank Dell was on our All Senior Bowl team,
dude.
Right?
He was
on our All Senior Bowl
couple
team.
Of words.
But what we said about Tank Dell, who's now flourishing with every new opportunity he's gotten with the Houston Texans, and just getting the eyes of CJ Stroud. Can you believe he was up last week to a 31% first read percentage from CJ Stroud? Like he's blocking onto him like an alpha. But what did we say at the Senior Bowl? We said he's awesome.
He skates across the field with ease.
Right,
he's unguardable.
But what did we say though? We said, but he's we're not sure it's going to translate because he's kind of small, right?
It was either Cavante Turpin or Hollywood Brown. That's what I said.
Right, because he was listed at Houston at like 155 pounds, and he had to come to the Senior Bowl to show that he was like, he's like, oh, he's put on weight, but like, well, how much does he put on?
163.
Like, he's put on 8 pounds. It's like, well, God, he can still get blown away with the wind, I do feel like if he would have said he was 172, 175 or something like that, all of a sudden we're just like, oh, that's kind of like Devontae Smith. It's like the Slim Reaper. I could deal with that, right? The fact that Xavier Worthy has gotten up to that, it feels like a little bit of a psychological hurdle, at least for me, as I guess I'm a professional evaluator. It feels like it's a psychological hurdle for me. Right there with these wide receivers at that 170 to 175 range. It makes me feel warm and cozy to know that my guy, that if I'm into him, is sort of above that threshold, right? And so now that Xavier Worthy is sort of there, well within that area, that combined with the flashes that we've seen of the elite speed, I can just see why they're seeing it for Worthy. And then Sweat, it's like this whole show is, this basically show has been a whole month of just. The shows all could have been called like why Tavondre Sweat's so good and why he might be a first round pick. It's like we've talked about it over and over.
What does he need to do for that might to go away? Like, is he just going to be a first round pick?
Own a game, like the Oklahoma game next week. Own the game, like
kind of go Warren Sapp or
just go stupid, go 4 or 5 TFL type of deal, go big and own and be like, God, we cannot run the football. Like he's there every time and then get a sack and he control at the baseline, just control a football game by one's self. Like last week it was impressive because the entire defense played great, right? It was unstoppable pretty much for the most part. But I'm talking about a game where not everybody shows up, but he shows up and he owns it by himself and dominates dudes, dominates double teams. That's just, it's really as easy as that. Like if he can do that against a good team like an Oklahoma or something like that, that would put him in pen to be a top 50 pick, I'd say.
A top 50, but what would put him in pen to be first round?
Who are the
top defensive linemen in the how many are there this year?
Dallas Turner, Jared Verse. As far as D tackles go, I haven't dove into the D tackles as hard, but what I'm saying is top 50 is and you know this as well, Alex. When you get into deep mock draft season, there's never 27 dudes. It's always 50 dudes that you can fit in the top 32, and it's always scheme dependent and what teams are there between 20 and 32 and what they need. And like Kansas City, if they got Chris Jones on a long contract and they got a bunch of other dudes, you can axe them off because they don't need it. They need somewhere else. Some good teams are going to be like, well, we're really good at stopping the run. We need to get a cornerback. And it's like, well, they're not going to draft to Sweat because they don't need a defensive tackle. Like that happens in the draft, and that causes guys to kind of slip out of round one and be, pick 33 to 47. Like that happens every single year. But so I guess your question would be what makes him vault into the next tier and be like a Sue type or be, a top 15 guy. I don't know if he can get up there. Just because it's an interior defensive line.
I'm not sure that, but
you see that in like Aaron Donald stuff. Like that's so difficult to get into that tier.
Well, Aaron Donald wasn't in that tier before his Senior Bowl. People thought he was too small.
Yeah,
he comes to the Senior Bowl. It's the most. So basically, Cooper Kupp, Aaron Donald, and Deebo Samuel were the three most players, just relative to their competition, the most dominant that I've ever seen at the Senior Bowl. With Aaron Donald probably being the most, right? That guy was a tornado. He was a Tasmanian devil. You knew from the beginning. You're like, well, that's a top 5 pick. But I just look. I'm like, okay, so there's the guy from LSU, Mason Smith. There's Leonard Taylor from. Is that right?
Jordan Davis 2 years ago. Look what he did. He was the 13th pick overall. Like he was a menace of an athlete too. Like we don't think obviously Sweat is on that par of being that level of an athlete. That's getting up into the 13th pick overall. Devontae Wyatt was 28th in that class, and he was kind of the shadow of Jordan Davis. So I'm just saying, like, I would be okay with saying he pen him as a top 50 pick if he has a big game. Like I think you're pretty much there in pencil right now, but you have a big game, you pen him into that top 50. The question is, can he vault himself into that top 20, not just round one?
Right. And then I think it's just interesting what you said too about when we say top 50, you're just like, when you say it isn't like it's hedging, because it's like whenever you do whenever you have to do the mock draft contest, like me and Cody do, you really do have all these guys who are just like, they could easily go early day 2, or they could easily get into the first round. And like part of the, that's why you got to analyze team needs. And you got to look at all this stuff. You got to be like, well, if this falls like this, how's this guy, so even if we're just talking about is T'Vondre Sweat now, but you're saying that he needs to show you that he can just take over one football game.
Yes.
To be in he's come pretty close to taking over a football game, Cody. He's come pretty close, but I guess I can understand what you're saying, to where the whole country's talking about it, saying, did you see T'Vondre Sweat today? 3.
Yeah. It doesn't need to be the Oklahoma game specifically. Does it need to be the Oklahoma game specifically? Because that might be, if that's two like undefeated teams in Dallas, the amount of eyes.
That's what I'm saying, though. That puts his name out there.
Yeah,
Mozzie Smith could have went for exactly. Mozzie Smith, a lot of that profile was athleticism.
One thing I've noticed about one thing I've noticed about Steve Shearman, he is sharp, man. That's exactly the right point.
Yeah,
like that's exactly it. That Mozzie Smith, 26, he could have gone. Dude, he could have gone 50th easily. T'Vondre Sweat's better than Mozzie Smith, so there's that. Okay, so there's an interesting conversation here being had in the dude. They're talking about whether they're like quails more than doves. They're talking about all this stuff. Jay Ward says he likes the pheasants best. All the Sandhill Crane talk. Oh my God, the ribeye in the sky. All right, nice, Cody. Cody, can I interest you in some Sandhill Crane whenever you get down here to Texas?
I'll be down there in 20 some days.
All right, man. We're gonna have Cody come and do a live show or something if you're here.
Absolutely.
All right. And then so some other things from the
I was gonna say you were talking about Murphy coming back.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, do you think he'll come back?
Well, I was doing a little digging on like the prospects and stuff, the recruits of next year's class, and I noticed, and I don't know, Blake can probably answer this question. Did Jason ever talk about DeAndre Carter, who's visiting tomorrow?
Yes, he's visiting tomorrow.
Teammate of Brandon Baker.
Yes, correct. At Matter Day.
So did he seem pretty positive, like that there was a chance that he could flip? Or was
there's a chance. The latest recruiting update from Jason wasn't like this is a lock to happen, but Texas has a shot there, bringing him in for a visit. I think,
but he's committed to Auburn or something.
Correct.
He committed 3 weeks ago to Auburn. Yeah,
correct.
Yeah. He hasn't had a visit
Texas
since
would
June
be the
or
favorite
something.
to flip him.
Catch
but I would
said,
say Texas has a shot.
Catch says that it's in the war room, actually. He said that it's probably a little bit south of 50%.
Okay, so reason I bring that up is because then I was looking on the defensive side of the ball at some guys, and the one that came up was Aiden Breland, who is also their teammate, and he's not like going to come visit or anything. But what I'm saying is, like, he's there, and like if you're already talking about a tackle like Brandon Baker, hey, come over and visit here. Hey, come over, like, you know what I'm saying, like, hey, and he's a D tackle and he's one of the best prospects in the country. I'm just saying, like, that's also another option on the defensive side of the ball. You have to start thinking about those things. I think that conversation is like, you know, I know Texas maybe hasn't gotten the best recruits the last decade since they were last relevant in that conversation. But like, now you can start doing that when you start beating Bama's by 10, you start beating Oklahoma maybe by 10, 20. Like, that's the conversation you put yourself in. So those recruits, I think, are still on the open end. But then also I saw somebody in the chat also say something about the transfer portal where it's like, I would feel pretty confident that Texas would be able to bring in somebody to fill in that role. If they're like, hey, you saw we just put in, 12 dudes went to the draft this year. 12 dudes got drafted this year from our team. You transfer here. I promise you, we're going to give you that. You know what I'm saying? Like that stepping stone, especially being on a team like this that has the talent that's already in the room across the other positions. We need help in the defensive. Like, you know what I'm saying? I feel like that's easy.
I mean, this is a really good idea. Hold on. Who is this prospect again? But can you pull up his rival's profile, Blake? Let's get a look at him and look at the offers and stuff. Has Texas offered him?
Yeah.
Why isn't he coming in with them?
He's only warm across the board though. All of his positions. He's like warm Georgia, warm Oregon, warm. I think Texas is cool right now. He's got a ton of offers.
Man, I wish we could just share the screen and put and play the huddle, but they say you can't do that. You have to buy the huddle, right, Blake? Or else they'll strike you with a copyright thing.
Well, we can buy it.
You don't need to buy it. But hey, that's a good reminder. We need to buy Baker.
Yes, we will do that.
We need to do Baker.
We need to do a film.
If you can make a note to do that, I would do it. I don't know how that process works. And plus, I'm cheap as hell. I don't
Cody's right. Cody's right. Texas just needs to charter a jet and take the entire Mater Dei football team. And ship them
one of the best teams in the the last 20 years, one of the best high schools. But like, that's what I'm saying though. Like that kind of happens. You all of a sudden you got a little siphon, and it's like, hey, we got the big tackle, get the other tackle, and then all of a sudden it's like, well, the best recruit on this list, is actually the D lineman who's 6'5", 290. With offers across the board, and there's nobody that's really, everything's just warm on him right now. So he seems like he's just chilling in the cut waiting. So, hey,
that's a good point.
You just beat Bama, you go and beat Oklahoma, you all of a sudden you're in that conversation at the end of the year. I don't know when he's going to commit or anything like that. I literally just have been parsing through the guys. I haven't dug into it by any means, but
look at Cody. Look at Cody Carpentier, dude. Just dig it in. He's getting ready for the offseason recruiting grind. I love it. Great. All right, man. We're gonna have Cody on more and more as we get into that time of year. For one, because he's so good at that stuff. For two, we're just gonna need more people around here talking when there's not a football game I got to break down for the whole week. Dude, there's been a lot of talk in the chat about squirrel hunting and eating squirrel. Craig, who was it? Craig Simlinger is asking if squirrel's any good. Have you had squirrel, Blake?
I've not had squirrel.
You grew up in Wimberley and never had squirrel. Cody, have you had squirrel?
My dog almost caught a squirrel last night, but that's about it.
Do you know squirrel's good, man. It's good. Actually, we're just coming off the squirrel cooking world championships up in Arkansas. Half the podcasts that I've listened to, people are just like, haven't you heard about Sark? All the Texas podcasts are talking about it. I'm like, I don't listen to these Texas podcasts that talk about Sark with the 3 high safeties. I'm too busy listening to the recaps of the Arkansas World Squirrel Cooking Cook-Off, right? Stuff
Weirdo.
Like this. But dude, squirrel is delicious. It's really good, man. My grandpa used to cook it. That's what I'm like out there at Shade Ranch, man, and right there in Wimberley, Texas, man. They could have been squirrels that were. Where in Wimberley did you grow up, Blake?
Well, I grew up in the DFW area and then went to high school in Wimberley.
But what part of Wimberley did you live in?
Oh, I lived down 2325 towards Blanco.
Okay, I'm not sure I know exactly where that is, but I told you where they lived, right? You know where it is, right? Where that church is and everything is back over there. Yeah. So was that near your house? Could those have been squirrels that had been on your property?
It would not have been the same squirrel.
Okay, all right. Squirrels, very, 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 very good. Kind of like almost like a darker meat. Kind of like sort of tastes like dark meat chicken. Oh, and dude, and Meat Eater has that awesome shirt where it just said like squirrel cuts, like cuts of squirrel meat, and it just points at the squirrel, and it just says squirrel meat because it's true. Like it's like you just cook the whole thing and just eat it. It's not like you can cut off the legs or something and have it be much more separate.
For those wondering, it sounds like Breland top 3 of Oregon, Georgia, and Miami. Now I was just looking. 3 analysts have him future casted to Georgia at the moment, but hey, I think it changed recruiting.
Hey.
All right. The other thing. Oh, sorry, Cody. What
No, I was just saying, give it 2 weeks. I mean, that's Brandon Baker brought. Now he's got this tackle that's coming in tomorrow. He hasn't had an official visit since like June or something. So, and he just committed to Auburn 2 weeks ago. So it's like, things change. I mean, these dudes are 18 years old.
Recruiting is the Wild West, man.
Yeah.
The other thing that I just kind of wanted to make sure that I kind of puff my chest out about here. So listen to this from Anwar. Here's a little nugget to file away. Look for true freshman cornerback Malik Muhammad to start receiving even more game snaps moving forward, as the staff is very happy with his development and feels like he's ready to receive more responsibility. I'm not saying. I mean, I'm not saying. I'm just saying. I would never come here and say that I told you so. So I'm just gonna say I'm just saying. We're gonna get a report next week about how Derek Williams looks like he's gonna probably need a little bit more opportunity coming up here pretty soon. All right. Hey man, tomorrow's newspaper right here today. Manny Muhammad. So that was something else that I noticed that was good. The other thing was just the one other quick thing that I just thought was kind of interesting is what he was saying about how Cam Williams. So basically, what's going on behind the scenes with Cam Williams, and it's the same thing that I was again. I'm not saying I told you so, but so Cam Williams is playing at right tackle during practice, and on Thursdays he moves to left tackle. So they're getting him work at both. So what's going to happen is for one, the whole thing about the thing we discussed yesterday, the whole conversation about Alex, what about putting him in guard? It's like this. I think that they have him on his runway right now. They love the way he's developing, and they actually kind of have him on a dual kind of runway as it is anyway, playing mainly right tackle where he'll fill in for Christian Jones next year, and then also having him play left tackle because if something were to happen, like he might have to go in at left tackle, right? Mm-hmm. Eventually, once Brandon Baker gets here, so we're talking now, not this. We're talking
next
season after next, right? Is that right?
He's coming next year.
Okay,
Baker's here next year.
So but he's not going to play next year, right? He's not going to play next year, right? He's not beating out Cam Williams.
He's going to beat out Cam Williams probably 7.
Yeah. But but that next year, then what happens is that Brandon Baker comes in at right tackle. Cam Williams moves to left, right? So they're getting him ready. Sort of, it's kind of like two horses, one saddle right now for him as it is, right? He's having to learn both positions. It's like I just think that the staff, whenever people say like, "Well, just go ahead and throw him in at guard," he played really well, and it's a fine argument. He played really well at guard in the spring game. I get it. But I think what the staff would say is, look, that's a well-founded argument and it makes sense. But what you don't understand is what we're doing behind the scenes is we're moving him from right tackle to left tackle. We're like, he's a tackle for us. We're honing him in at tackle, and we're totally fine with the guys that we have out there right now. Maybe something like cock maybe happens. Somebody gets injured. Something they got really, things get thrown into disarray. I mean, things happen, right? Maybe they could change course, but the offensive line has played at a good baseline level, even with their worst contributors so far. To where it's like it's fine. I mean, we're not going to throw off this kid's development. So that was the other final thing. And again, you can read everything there. That you can go read at the War Room about what Catch is hearing about Ryan Wingo and about what this whole thing with Dion.
It really was a stacked War Room.
Yeah, man. So certainly, I'm not that worried about old Ringo. But I guess, hey, we're going to see about it. Go and read the War Room. And finally, of course, we're back here. Please like to the show. Please subscribe to the channel. If you have questions for the show or you'd like to contact me, you can do so, alex@rosterwatch.com. And now it's time. It's finally time, after all of this preamble, for final takes. We're getting to it next.
This Orange Bloods recruiting flashback takes a look at arguably the most high-profile recruitment in the history of the Texas football program, at least until Arch Manning came along. Yes, I'm talking about former Texas quarterback Chris Sims, who was the nation's #1 ranked prospect when he came out of New Jersey in 1999. Sims took a look around all over the nation early in his recruitment, visiting the likes of Ohio State and Penn State, before eventually setting on his top two. The two UTs, Texas and Tennessee, were his two finalists. After taking an official visit to Austin in the fall of 1998, the Longhorns appeared to be poised to land Sims, which partly helped steer Eli Manning, who also visited Texas in the fall of 1998, to Ole Miss. Yet, when Sims announced his decision on December 15th on the MSG network, he picked the Vols over the Longhorns. Matt Brown later admitted that the Texas coaching staff was shocked by the news. Quote, "I'm proud to be a Vol, and it's a good place for me," Sims said upon his announcement. "I'm a big fan of Coach Fulmer, and I think it fits me right. I feel so relieved, and I can finally get back to being a high schooler and enjoying myself." Yet, the truth of the matter is that Sims wasn't really relieved about the decision, and word got around quickly that he was wavering on his commitment to the Vols almost as soon as he made the announcement. I can remember talking to a Texas source on January 1st of 1999, just before the Longhorns played Mississippi State in the Cotton Bowl, that the Longhorns were going to flip Sims away from Tennessee. A few days following the New Year's Bowl game, Sims called Texas assistant coach Tim Brewster to tell him that he was having second thoughts. Less than 3 weeks later, Sims sat down with his parents, Diana and Phil, you might have heard of him, to reevaluate the decision. The next day, he called Tennessee head coach Phil Fulmer to deliver the news. Sims said, quote, "The hardest thing I ever did in my life. The first thing he said to me was, 'Chris, I'm down here in Alabama recruiting you the best receiver in the country,' end quote." One day later, Sims made things official by flipping his commitment to the Longhorns, which helped cement a #1 overall recruiting class for Brown and his coaching staff. It proved to be a game changer for the Longhorns, as evidenced by the commitment of the big three wide receivers in the following recruiting class: B.J. Johnson, Roy Williams, and Sloan Thomas, as well as paving the way for Cedric Benson's commitment to the Longhorns in the 2001 recruiting class. Ultimately, it was one of the great recruiting moments in the history of the Texas football program.
Football with friends is fun as hell. I'm Alex Dunlap, man. So happy to be here with you guys today, dude. The chat's just going nuts, man, over here. Richard Arias, thank you, brother, man. Football with it's awesome. It's fun. It's fun as hell, man. But it's you guys that make it so great being here with us. Cotton, Charlie Williams, Scott in Texas. He's saying echo. What, like, is there an echo around? Blake, I haven't heard an echo. But then again, I don't ever hear, like, people say that I freeze up, and I don't ever see it. Like,
I think we're good. I think we're good.
I think we're fine. Listen, Scott in Texas, Alex, didn't you tell us so? Yeah, I did. I'm not saying I told you so. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Let's see. Look, hey man, for anybody that missed it, prototypes of merch. Check it out. Football with friends.
I need a visor.
Nice netting on the back. Yeah,
that white one's pretty sick.
The white one.
There's my son with the white one, like the white fitted hat. See, with that one, he took some liberties with the. He said that he liked the fun as hell better in cursive. Again, it's still prototypes. We're getting it figured out. I'm gonna have I told him that I wanted the font for this one to be like the font on the Gonzalez battle flag that says "Come and take it," and that's about it's pretty close.
It is pretty close.
Yeah. But anyway, I'm not sure. I mean, I'm colorblind. I think it looks burnt orange, but we're gonna have Blake. What we're gonna tell him is we're gonna say, look, just make it basically the darkest orange possible. That way nobody can complain. Right?
Like, the old school Texas fans,
you can make it brown. It's like
the old school Texas fans wanted that brown leather color. You know?
didn't they say that they did that to make it harder to see the like?
I think that was the story.
Make it harder.
DKR came up with that. They
like
wouldn't
harder
hide
to see
the
the football.
you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For real. Nathan says that, but Nathan says my hair looks burnt orange. I'm telling you, this is online. As I said, every single one of you, you guys don't know that we're on YouTube, and that means that I can go to YouTube and log your IP addresses and sue every single one of you guys for internet harassment and cruelty. It's true. This is cyberbullying.
It really gets to Alex. He went out to Home Depot and got new lights so that it wouldn't look so.
I did, dude. I went to Home Depot today on the way back from getting the hat prototypes. And I was just said, dude, finally, these guys are. I'm going to stick it to them. I'm going to get better lights. I think my hair looks more orange.
It makes sense though that you went to Home Depot. It makes sense though you went to Home Depot where the color is going to sue me.
You didn't go to Lowe's. You went to Home Depot.
Dude, I can't go to Home Depot and say, hey, what's gonna make my hair look less cockamamie and orange? I mean, golly,
this orange light's gonna fix it.
Maybe it
Home
can
Depot.
do it. All right. So look, my obviously my hair needs fixing. Obviously that's something that I need a lot of help with. The one thing that you always going to need help with is any time that you're trying to sell your home. And if you're trying to sell your home, especially if you're in the DFW area, look at Val Garcia. Talk about a guy that's going to help you sell your home. I mean, he's got the smile of a winner. He's a man's man. And listen to this. If you work in the education sector, if you work in the ministries, he's going to sell your house for free. For free. I mean, I tell people that. I was just at HEB talking to the checkout girl earlier, and I said, "Do you have any idea that Val Garcia sells homes for free for educators and for people that work in the ministries?" And she said, Val Garcia doesn't do that. Not like I look, Val's an awesome guy, but nobody could do that. He would be out of business. And I told my checker, I said, no. If you work in the ministries, those are his people. He'll sell it for free. And I told her that if you listen to Football with Friends and you call in and you're in the DFW area, he'll sell your house for half price, 1.5%. 1.5%. He's going to save you literally tens of thousands of dollars. Cody, what would you do with $10,000?
Sheesh. I don't know what I'd do. I'd bet it on that Texas Longhorns to beat Kansas this week, I tell you that.
I know you wouldn't buy a new chair, but anyway, all right. So go to ValenRealty.com. We have to talk about your chair. ValenRealty.com. The phone number is 46. Put it back up because I don't have this number memorized. It's 469-647-8729. Again, ValenRealty.com. Our guy, Val Garcia. Let's see. Darwin Lemon says, Alex, it's the filter that you're using. Get a different background and it will change your hair color. I can't change my background again. You guys can't. You told me before I look like Casper the Friendly Ghost whenever I was in front of the black one. I go and get a Lake Travis one, and now you're saying that's not what turned my hair orange. My hair turned orange after the Alabama game for some reason. There was something that happened.
I don't know. I sure we're both getting smoked by Cody's background right now.
It's definitely turning gray in some spots, Cody, for sure, man. I've had my hair turning gray since I was like 18 years old, dude. It's craziness. All right, and then the Val Garcia, and then we talked about we talked about the merch coming next week. You guys let us know in the chat. Do y'all want shirts? And if so, like what kind of shirts you want to do? Because here's what Hector said, and I'm going to loop you in on an email about this, Blake. But hey, we're an open book here. We're making the merch for the people in chat. So the hat looks backwards. Let me see.
Oh yeah, you might need to mirror.
You're mirrored.
Okay, so wait, video, mirror, camera. All right. Is that better?
There we go. Now the lake's on the other side. Fun as hell. Woo!
So you guys in chat, like, let us know, and you can email me and stuff or whatever. Let me know like what style of shirts, because he's like, I can make the hat. Like this is just a prototype. He's like, I can make the hats any style. They can be a trucker hat. They can be like a fitted hat, like my son had. I kind of like these, but I think the idea of a trucker, or is this a trucker hat? I don't know. What's the difference between a trucker hat. I guess I'm not sure.
Trucker
but you guys, Yeah, Cody will always say visors. I'm not sure
Every
about
time.
that. But most specifically, the kind of shirts. I'm thinking that if we get shirts, they should be the shirts that are like the ones that are the nice, like the ones that fit well, right? Not the not the boxy kind of heavy cotton ones. The ones that have a little bit more of the stretch to them, right?
Yes.
How about a kind of like what Blake's got on, but
Yeah,
the
get the old Nike
full button.
Full
Listen
button.
here, full button Columbia with the air. It's gonna be it's like a $70 shirt, but like full Columbia with the air, and then you put the logo right here with the pocket here. Something you can go duck hunting in.
Okay, well, I'll bet you that I'll bet you that we could get one out to Jay Ward to model in his duck hunting. We could put a little picture of Jay Ward duck hunting in one down on the side, right? that could be something. Jay Ward, who knew that you might be pursued to be a fashion model? This is your lucky day. Listen, it's everybody's lucky day because it is that time. I wish we could do sound effects like I can do on the radio.
Final takes.
Final takes.
All right. Let's start with the line, which is now down to 16 on some Caesars and DraftKings, both down to Texas -16. The over-under at 61.5. Thoughts?
I'll go first. Cody's gonna toss one of those little micro bets like all the other Texas fans are doing right now. What is the Blake? We didn't discuss what the betting trends are from the public right now, right? We're getting down to what cutting time on this. So let's just see if we got any big money guys that have even come in on Texas. Okay, so here's where it's at today. 61% of the tickets, 82% of the money on Kansas, 39% of the tickets, and only 18% of the money on Texas, which means that Texas is 16.5. Oh my gosh. And oh my God, dude, a live line change just as we're talking on DraftKings. Texas just went from 16.5 literally to -16.
That's what I said. Yeah, 16. I just saw it updated too. Yeah, it's crazy.
Where I'm looking, it literally did it as I was talking. Was I just talking over you, Blake,
That's
as
wild.
usual, and I just didn't hear what you said?
No.
Bad, dude, I'm sorry. So we're at 16 now.
Where's that at? DraftKings, you said?
DraftKings at PointsBet.
I see 16 at DraftKings and Caesars.
MGM still 16.5.
It's
FanDuel still 16.5.
Yeah,
correct.
Yep.
Yeah.
In PointsBet, it looks like it's 16.5. So we're getting some of these guys. Like I said,
I've always thought 16 by kick, right?
No, I think it's gonna be 15.5
or 15.
I was gonna say 3Bet, Sport Trade, Bookmaker. They're all at 15.5 right now.
As far as the over under on this one, we have 62% of the 61.5, 71% of the bets, but only 62% of the money is on the under. So heavy public favorite there for the under, but maybe a tiny bit of sharp support for the over here. 29% of bets, 38% of the money. So not as big a trend. It's not just as the fact that they brought it down through the key number of 17 down to 16.5. I said that it could be a free fall from there. The fact that it hasn't been a free fall, even though we did just see it move to 16, makes me think it'll continue to come down. I've always said that my line on this game was always 14 points. So I'm not going to take Texas. I'm not taking Texas minus the points. I think Texas wins, but I think they'll win by 2 touchdowns. And do you know what else I think? I think that it's going to be maybe a little bit of a sweat to start. It's going to be interesting, Cody. Tomorrow we're going to be on Sirius XM starting at 2 p.m. Central on until 4 p.m. Central. I think during the time that we're on the radio during commercial breaks, you and I will be saying like, what the hell's going on? This is pretty close, right? I think towards the end it'll be less like that. And as we get to some of these other takes, I'll be able to talk a little bit about when I watched Kansas today. I couldn't find the BYU game on any of the YouTubes, but I did find what's his name? Is his name Keaton Slovis? Keaton, is that his name?
Keaton.
Keaton.
Yeah.
Keaton
Slovis.
Keaton.
He's a good looking player, but just like I did listen to his post game press conference and took some stuff from that. And I watched a good bit of the Nevada game, and I do now have some more specific takes about some of the specific players on that Kansas team. One of them is through the course of the game, the Texas lines. I do not care that they say that defensive line has such depth. I don't think that these guys are that talented.
No,
I don't think that they're that talented. I think at the beginning, the fact that they have the depth, that they can bring these dudes in waves, that could be a bit of an issue at first. But I feel like, and especially with the offensive line, their center number 50. He's just no match for Sweat or Murphy or any of these guys. Their left guard, I forget his last name. I forget his name, but he's one of these guys with two last names. That's how you'll probably know who he is. This guy. I mean, even versus Nevada, he was getting so scared of the Nevada D tackle, just spitting up B gap, that he was getting false start penalties over and over again. So I think that I think that my deal is, over the course of the game, Texas will wear them down, and if Texas can just manage from just not letting any initial momentum that they have avalanche, or just get themselves in a spot where they're like, golly, we're playing with our hand behind our back and we're having to get off our script and all the rest, and Texas can just stay to the script, stay focused, stay intentional in how they're playing, then starting third quarter, just the overall size, beastliness, physicality of some of these dudes that Texas has is just going to overtake them, and they'll end up winning by 2 touchdowns. But I have a hard time getting to 16 on it.
And let's be clear about Nevada too. I believe they have the longest losing streak in college football right now, and that was a pretty close game. Kansas played with them. That
Nevada 3 tech was small, and he's given that left guard of theirs fits.
I think Nevada's lost like 14 in a row.
Have they?
Yeah.
Even from what? Because but didn't they have what's his who was that bag? Was that Carson Strong last year? Cody, he was
Carson
bad.
Strong, Dobbs, and
so
Turner.
They lost all those games with those 3 guys.
That was 2 years ago.
Oh man, am I just see, man? All this stuff mixes together for me. My bad. Okay, so Cody, your final take on this one.
I watched the BYU game. I didn't watch it all, obviously, because there's no full game of that on YouTube, but I did watch like one where it had highlights, and I think there was like 25 or 30 plays on it. Was not impressed really with what Kansas brought to the table. Overall, they were able to run the ball quite a bit against BYU. I think you brought up the defensive line. The only 2 guys I really wrote down that kind of interest me are 9 and 28. 9 is the guy you talked about the other day. I think it's Booker. He looked fine, but
the defensive end?
He looked fine, but he didn't look special by any means. The one play he got in for a sack in this one was just and on the cast they talked this right tackle's the backup. They didn't expect much out of him, and he kind of just quit on a play where he had him kind of squared off with an underarm, and he just kind of let him go, and the guy got through. But I don't think it's the thing is I don't think either of these ends, and yes, they're rotating them in. So I had 9 and 28 with the 2 guys I written down from what I saw. And I don't think either of them are going to be anything tough for Banks and Jones to kind of take up on. I didn't see really much on the interior that I was worried about as far as Kansas's interior defensive line. One thing I did notice a lot of was kind of things that Texas already does right and does a lot of, and that's hitting Worthy on the quick screens out to the sideline and letting him go upfield. And I saw that happen against Kansas last week in that BYU game. I've also saw 2 deep balls down the right sideline, down the left sideline against number 3, Mello Dotson, number 18, Keelan Gervin, who's a backup. Mello Dotson, I think, has allowed the most yards amongst all of the Kansas defensive backs. I think I wrote that down a minute ago. Most targets and most receptions allowed. Yeah, 21 targets compared to Craig Young, who's the second most with 13. So he's been targeted the most out of all the guys, and he's got 60 yards of yak allowed. He's their worst cornerback. Number 3 is Mello Dotson. So I think that's a guy that Worthy's going to take advantage of. I think it's a guy that AD is going to take advantage of. What else did I have in here? Kobe Bryant. Obviously, you talk about the big hit last week. Like he's their ball player. He's their best player on the back end. What it seems like, as far as that goes. I think you'll be able to utilize Quinn rolling out, hitting guys like Sanders and Adonai. But I think the quick game to Worthy, I got it 45-16 Texas. I don't think Kansas is really going to be able to bring much to the table. A lot of the times that you look back, especially through the box scores, I didn't go back and watch all the games, but from the box scores of how the flow of the game goes, you can see that, early on they have one good drive and they might score a touchdown on it. But other than that, they kind of fizzle out after that unless a turnover happens. If a turnover happens, they get like a good 15 minutes out of it where they score a field goal or a touchdown on that turnover, and then the next drive they score. But then after that, it kind of fizzles out. I was looking at some of the longer drives that Kansas had where they've had a 10-play, a 12-play that ended up a touchdown, a field goal against BYU, a 13-play, and 11-play against Nevada, that ended up in a field goal and a touchdown. Illinois, they had a 10-play, a 13-play, that ended up in 3 touchdowns in those games. Texas on the year has allowed six drives total of 9 or more plays.
They don't allow
it's been field goal, end of game, downs, and the last drive of the game against Rice was a touchdown. So those longer drives, which are something that Kansas is kind of outside of the big turnovers, the big turnover touchdowns or things like this, the things that have really gotten them to go is these longer drives. And that's what did I write down here? 21 points out of the 34 against Illinois, 10 out of 31 against Nevada, 10 out of the 38 against BYU have come on those longer drives. And then they've also had turnovers in each of those games. So I don't think they're going to be able to put a long drive together against this Texas defense because they don't have any mismatches on that side of the ball. And we'll talk about a number of players over the course of the next 45 minutes, but I think there's a number of players on this defense that are going to be keys to slowing down Jalen Daniels and Devin Neal. But I think it's going to be similar to last week where the defense, as long as the defense shows up, right? If they don't just stay in the dorms, I think it's going to be pretty easy for this defense to kind of keep Kansas under wraps. And then it really just depends on what offense shows up. But I got it 45-16 Texas.
So I thought that's interesting because I've been wanting to talk all week. I've been saying we need to talk about the Max Olson stop rate article over at the Athletic, and we just never get to it. It's like the Matt Stafford thing or the matchup tool. It felt like, but if you just look at the stop rate, which is basically, I want to just read how they lay it out. So it's a basic measurement of success. The percentages of defensive drives that end in punts, turnovers, or a turnover on downs, right? So not necessarily talking about the length of the drive or whatever, right? But if you look at Texas in this stop rate metric, out of all of Power 5 football, Texas is in 20th place with a 77.6% stop rate. That's second best in the Big 12. OU is actually in 4th place for that thing. But I noticed if you filtered it in via points per drive, so if you just look at it on points per drive, Texas is number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, ninth in the whole nation as far as points per drive. And I feel like it goes to show only allowing 1.02 points per drive, and that's because they on defense they simply haven't had these elongated drives where what was that stat that you said, Cody? Can you read out those things again? That was such good stuff that I want to hear it again. What did you say? So of the points that KU has had,
21 out of 34 against Illinois came on drives of 10 or more plays. Against Nevada, 10 out of 31 field goal and touchdown. And against BYU, 10 out of 38 a field goal and a touchdown.
That's not how you're going to score against this Texas everything everything your eyes tell you and everything that the numbers tell you is that's not going to be you're not going to pitter patter down the field against this Texas defense.
Well, Alex, remember we looked earlier in the week. Kansas is first in the country in third down conversion rate right now at over 60%. That's just not either. It's really amazing or it's not sustainable. I like this Texas defense.
I think Scott has a good point in the chat. Scott said this could be the Colorado finally plays Oregon game where obviously Kansas is not getting the pump that Colorado is, but Kansas is just got ranked. They got a nice coach. They got their quarterback. They got I don't know what the stat was. They got the most returning output from their offense in college football this year. And they've made it look not easy. They've made it look fine against Illinois, Nevada, and BYU, who are all middling teams at best. Nevada not middling, Nevada at the bottom. And now they're playing against a big dog, and this is the big dog. And like I said, I wrote down Kansas scores 13. When I was doing the score, I was like, 13's too close to 14 from last year. Maybe they get a field goal in there. but I really feel like it's going to be 9. So
you know what's crazy, Cody, is last night on the Outsiders show here on the channel at 9 p.m. We my prediction was 45-17 Texas. So we are on the same wavelength.
Nice. Yeah, I and the 17 thing would infer 2 touchdowns, right? I don't think they can score a touchdown. I think if they score a touchdown, it's because they get over the top on somebody. And that's why I put that there. But like, I don't even think this team they're not good enough to score a touchdown against Texas. And that's based on the defense that we've seen. So I don't know. I don't know if that's leaning too much into what we saw last week in this defense, but I was not impressed with the Kansas offense. I don't know if I believe that they're worth a 24 overall ranking. Based on the showing against BYU. Again, I haven't watched Nevada or Illinois. As Alex said, you watched Nevada, right?
Yeah.
So I just wasn't very impressed because, I don't know. Slovis doesn't look bad. Slovis looks all right. And I think just in total, and we haven't even talked about the running game. I was just talking about like, the quick passes and stuff and the deep ball. But then last year you bring like Brooks in this game last year, 11 carries, 108, 2 touchdowns. And that was next to Bijan, who had 243 and 4 touchdowns. So like, you're not even talking about the running game. And
yeah,
Ewers had 14 pass attempts in the first half, 21 in the whole game. Like, he didn't even need to throw the football. He didn't get 107 passing yards. Like, there's just I think it's just levels. I think that Colorado Oregon thing, the situation is in tow. I don't think Kansas is near the talent that Colorado has, but I think the situation definitely is in tow.
Oh my gosh, I have awful news. Awful news.
Oh no.
Only 45 likes on the video so far.
God.
Hey, that's how many points Texas is going to score though. But you still need 100.
Guys, if you could please, man, like it's like
every like is another point Texas is going to score.
It's very simple. For every time you like the show, that is another point that Texas is going to score. So let's get that thing up north of 100. Let's see if we can put a Benji on the board this week.
I got one.
Yep.
Every like is another yard rushing for Jonathan Brooks in this game.
Yeah, there you go. Right? People are talking about Jay.
Let's crack 100. Let's crack 100.
I mean, Cody's going to win. Cody's going to win. Is the poll already up?
Poll's not up yet. People can only vote once, so I want to wait a little bit, get a few takes going, and then
Cody's gonna win final takes.
Look at Alex bullying himself.
Alex just likes to set himself as the underdog, so when the poll comes up, he's like,
"Cody's gonna win." Golly, guys.
Guy does the deep dig. Guy's got all these fans, and he's just gonna be like, "Oh," and he knows everyone's gonna vote for him.
I don't know. I just know. All right. What's next? Or wait, is it more? Oh,
let's do this one. More yards. Jordan Whittington receiving or Jalon Daniels rushing?
Did they change the prize picks more or less on Jalon Daniels from 24.5?
I'm gonna have to look. They changed a lot of the Texas ones.
Sacks count against rushing, right?
Right. Yep.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Kansas.
Gotcha.
But Whitting, it didn't like
Daniels is 24.5 rushing yards.
What do they have Whittington at? 42.5? They even have Whittington?
Jonathan Brooks.
Here's my take.
At 32.5.
Whittington could go out during the first drive of the game, and I think he would still have more receiving yards than Jalon Daniels.
No. Jalon Daniels rushing.
Yeah, I know.
Okay. You're not worried about Jalon Daniels on his feet in this game?
No. He's had games where I'm not. You know why I'm not? And this is going to be the guys I was talking about earlier is Binda and Hill. I think Binda and Hill and how I think they're going to treat it similar to how they treated Milroe. And I think the speed that those two bring to the table is going to be enough to minimize what these guys have. And that's why I said Whittington can go out on the first drive, because if Whittington catches one ball, he goes for 8 yards. Cool. I don't think Jalon Daniels. I think Jalon Daniels, they're going to get pressure on him. They're going to sack him more than 3-4 times.
I think it's the Jalon Daniels for one, Jordan Whittington, for as much as we all love him, and I kind of think that
it's not even a Jordan Whittington take. Like he couldn't catch a football, and I would still think there's a chance you can win this one, just because I think that the defensive line is going to get after the quarterback.
His target share is minuscule. I don't know. It's like I love the guy.
I think what Cody is saying.
Whenever I close my eyes,
I don't think
whenever I close my eyes and I think about this game and I think about these guys getting after Jalon Daniels, I do agree with you that they're going to get a lot of pressure on him. But just, man, I can see it in my head. He's so like one of the ways the quarterbacks can be really good with their mobility is not just, you don't have to be a Michael Vick or a Justin Fields or, a guy that can, take it 80 yards and stuff. I think Daniels can. I'm not sure he will versus this defense, but I just think sometimes like he's pretty good at escaping stuff. And I almost think in a situation like this where I do feel like that offensive line is overmatched, and I do feel like that defense is going to get pressure. Like these guys who are gamers and who are ballers. I think just 25, spitting out for 25 yards over the course of a game. Like,
do you know how many times Texas sacked him last year?
No. Do you? Zero.
Didn't sack him.
Texas wasn't as good defensively last year.
Absolutely.
Sweat is better. These guys are just better.
Here's some of Daniels' last 8 games. Iowa State last year, 8 carries, 9 yards, 7 carries, 6 yards, 2 for 12 against Texas, 8 for 51 against Kansas State, 14 for 21 against Arkansas, 11 for 24 against Illinois, 7 for -4 against Nevada, -4. Brigham BYU, 9 for 54. That game was his most rushing yards since September 24th of 2022. Again, I understand what he can do. I understand the prospect of what Jalon Daniels is. And what he brings to the table, but I'm not afraid of it in this sense of this conversation, because I think this defensive line is strong enough. They're going to get after him. They're going to wreak havoc. And also, if they're going to win this game, so this is a two-headed monster here, is if Kansas is going to win this game or have a chance, which I've heard some, putter from people out there that they're like, oh, this is the game Jalon Daniels could break out and have the big game and put them on the map. First off, wrong. Secondly, if that's going to happen, he's going to go for like $140, and I just don't see that happening.
Yeah, no, it's look. I think those are fine points. I don't
think Daniels sucks.
I think that Cody's hot take Daniels sucks. Look,
he was hurt last year too.
Yeah, so we have Colby asking about putting $100 on Prize Picks for a 6-player parlay who yells locks in college. Well, Colby, yes, remember that tonight you have a Flex Friday on Prize Picks, so you have a $20 one as long as you're playing players tonight that you can put in, and if it doesn't hit for you, you just get they give you your money right back. So we're gonna go through and make a Prize Picks entry for tonight here, just in the next segment. So who knows? Cody says he has some hot picks from over on the unabated Edge tool, so we'll look at that, and we're get to all that. We're get to more final takes, but as far as the locks in college, I think that Cody's going to hate it. I kind of like the over. What about what Devin Neal did his go up from 56.5 rushing yards?
Kansas. Devin Neal. I don't even see Devin Neal on here.
And
no,
did they?
On there.
And what? So they took it down. What about Worthy? Is he still at 62.5?
I think Worthy came down. 64.5 actually.
So it actually went up a little bit. So yeah, it's hard to tell you who those locks are, but we'll definitely put together a fun Prize Picks one. We'll do a 6-pick. We still have more final takes, and we're already the last segment of the show on a Friday, a Victory Friday. Remember that. We're coming back next.
This Orange Bloods recruiting flashback focuses on one of the best wide receivers to ever play on the 40 acres, former Odessa Permian star Roy Williams. One of the all-time greats out of West Texas, Williams was one of the last great players to come out of Permian and the Little Southwest Conference, a school and district in West Texas that helped inspire the movie and TV show Friday Night Lights. Williams' prowess as a receiver, defensive back, and track star made him perhaps the single best talent to ever come out of that part of the state. Overall, Williams finished the year as a 5-star prospect in the Rivals 2000 rankings, but actually ranked behind fellow Texas wide receiver signee B.J. Johnson in the rankings, which seemed pretty stupid almost as soon as he hit campus. I can't lie, I had Williams ranked behind Johnson as well, who at one time reminded scouts of former Florida State wide receiver Peter Warrick. In addition to Williams and Johnson, fellow Texas signee Sloan Thomas was ranked as a top 5 in-state prospect, and the three of them became known as the Big Three when they arrived on the 40 acres. As far as Williams' actual recruitment, he was an early commitment for the Longhorns, who had the arrival of five-star quarterback Chris Sims as a major selling point for all of the in-state wide receiver gems that year. For the most part, Williams was solid as a rock throughout the recruiting process to the Longhorns, although Texas A&M fans were convinced that he would be a late flip in the recruiting process to them, even if there was virtually zero evidence to suggest it would happen. But we're talking about facts and evidence. And when has that ever mattered to the Aggies? At the end of the day, Williams signed with the Longhorns and became one of the best players in the history of the school at his position.
Football with friends is fun as hell. Oh, man, and it's a Friday. It's a fun Friday. It's a Final Takes Friday. Thanks so much, as always, to Cody Carpentier for joining us here for the Final Takes Friday. We know you guys love seeing them come from the chat all the way to the show to bring the facts and analysis. And since when has that ever meant anything to the Aggies? Right, Blake? Have you ever heard that? Let's see. Oh my gosh, Jay Ward says he's got filet mignon on the menu tonight with Parmesan topping, loaded baked potato. My goodness, what's everybody else eating? You know what? I went to the store earlier today on my rare day. It's like I got to go around, got to pick up the prototype of the new Football with Friends hats, right? If you guys didn't see them, check them out. We're gonna have more merch. You guys let us know, man. I'm gonna go back and read through the live chat if there's anything that you guys anything you guys want. I don't really know. Like he was like, we can make anything. So you guys let me know. I'm kind of leaning towards it being this design, but maybe having some different kind of like trucker hats and stuff like that. Oh, look at me. I'm in the early lead, but how many?
Just posted the poll. Just posted the poll.
Votes.
Go vote. Okay. Better final. We got more Final Takes coming up.
I knew it. Yeah, I went today. So and I got dinner for 2 different nights. So I got some fajita. I got some fajita meat, and I also got just a bit. I got like 3 pounds of chicken wings. So we can go fry those things up. So one or the other. We'll see. We'll see. I mean, we'll just see if we have time. You know, it depends on what the wife wants to eat tonight. Because Lord knows. I don't even want to tell you about my kids and my son. If there's beef, he'll want to eat that. If it's chicken, my daughter will want to eat that. And it's just how it goes. I'm sure you guys know how that always goes. Chase Dunnigan getting pizza with the kids. That's always fantastic.
It's a good Friday meal.
Yeah, I had pizza with my daughter last night because we had my wife had a mother-son thing with my son for his elementary school. And my daughter was jealous about it, and she wanted to have like a daddy-daughter thing. So we went and got pizza last night. Steak tonight. Oh, Paul. Hey, happy birthday to you, brother. Hey, happy birthday. Come on, man.
Why didn't you tell us earlier in the show it was your birthday?
He can't be a day. He can't be a day over 25. All right. Final takes.
I thought before the prize segment, we can take a look at these Texas prize picks and maybe the Kansas ones too, and just kind of go through.
All right,
pull these up.
Okay.
All right, we got a ton of Texas ones on the board now. We can just start with anyone that stands out to you guys.
Oh, look, I didn't
Brooks
for the fantasy score. I mean, that to me, what is Jay Brooks rushing total at right now? Did they take that down still?
88.
88.5.
So it did come down from that 91.5 that I was talking about.
Yes.
They definitely came to realize that, man, A.D. Mitchell came down a little bit after our talk.
Yeah.
Is X on here anymore, or they took X off?
They took Xavier Worthy off? No, I thought he said he's 66.
Oh, at the bottom, 64.5.
Oh, that's the lot.
There's a ton of Texas plays.
So Worthy's going to get to 64.5.
Yeah,
They're
I'll give you
back to him. Yeah,
my final take for these yardages though. Worthy, this is his game. I got 4 for 140 and 2 on Worthy in this game. So 80 Mitchell 85. Sanders is only going for 40. He's not going for 100 this week. I called that one both times. He went for 100, not happening. Brooks 130, Baxter 80, and that puts Ewers at about 280. What's Ewers' number at?
266.5.
Ooh, that's too close.
No, that's not close, dude. That's not close. No, that's good. You get 14
yards is an edge.
Yeah, that's a good
one
edge.
football.
Right, but it's still. I mean, it's they don't make this easy, Cody. You're right.
Yeah.
Do you
So, but what did you say about Baxter? You have Baxter for 80 yards
80.
on total or just on the ground?
80 rushing.
And how many did you say for Brooks?
130.
210 on the ground for these boys.
Again, I'm playing my game, my 45-16 game. That's my game. Watching the BYU game, watching the last Texas game against Baylor, compiling that, and projecting an output.
Here's my take on BYU, Cody. Have you seen any BYU games this year?
Just that one.
Okay.
What?
They basically what the media was doing was Slovis after that game. They just kept peppering him. They're so like, well, you had a great game, but it's the same thing as always with the run. Like, what's going on with the running game? What's going on with it? Like, what Blake, you can't do it right now. I can look this up. Like, I want to look and see like BYU this year.
They beat Arkansas,
but what did they rush for?
LJ rushing attack is not very
23 carries for 77 yards.
Yeah, and then like I saw that their biggest rushing game was their first game of the year versus like South Carolina Squirrel Patrol. All right, so same. That's the exact same thing, right? It's like so that that what do they have in that game?
Martin had 16 for 91. They had 112 as a team on 34 carries, so they averaged 3.3.
They're terrible. This is a team that they can't run, and so I'm not going to give Kansas the credit for being this great run stopping team because they were able to, all right. So I know that this is kind of cockamamie, all kinds of stuff together. But when I think about Brooks, the only thing I worry about Brooks is like, how much does Baxter mix in? If it's a 50-50 split, for me, it just feels like up there at 90 yards is a little bit tough. But I mean, if this is a gangbusters kind of game, then you feel like they almost both kind of get there. That's sort of what you're saying, right, Cody? If it's 50-50, they each go for 90.
Yeah. I don't know if it's going to be 50-50. I would say they lean on Brooks early. I mean,
how is your opinion?
I listen to your Baxter. I listen to your Baxter stuff too about him looking in the first play. If anybody didn't watch the game, the first play, literally, he looked like he wasn't 100% last week. So it's like I'm of the same thought, kind of like I look at the NFL terms, obviously, because I watch the NFL a lot. But like Breece Hall's not 100%, and the Jets are just like get out there and take 12 carries for 13 yards. It's like no, dude. How about not? How about we, lean on somebody else and let Breece Hall get to 100%? It's like the same thing here, where it's like, except for not like the Jets, Texas has Jonathan Brooks, who's cracking off 100-yard games like Oreos. Like he should obviously be the lead. He should get the 70% because you don't need Baxter right now. You clearly don't need Baxter right now, right? You need to do the right things to beat the teams that you should beat, which is run with Brooks. And then when the game is, 31-3, 31-6, start, bringing Baxter in for more and more opportunities, and then start shaking it in, then start getting him a couple runs if he feels good. Like that's how I kind of look at it, because you got, like you said, you got Oklahoma coming up, you still got a Big 12 championship, you got the playoffs. Like you need Baxter for that. You need Baxter for the long run when, that's just kind of how I view that whole backfield situation.
Do you think in your
50-50 is BS in my opinion.
Your mind? Well, yeah, and Sark doesn't want it. He's had 9,000-yard rushers in a row, right? And so it through your eyes, if once CJ Baxter gets back to the height of his powers and he's back to full health, should Jay Brooks still be the lead back?
Yeah, I mean, look, like, yeah,
you just think if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And until Baxter's 100%, and it's he goes on the field with. Do you remember when Nick Chubb? Remember Carlos had us playing over Nick Chubb at the start of Nick Chubb's career.
That's so hard.
And Nick
remember,
Chubb, Nick Chubb in one game, everyone's like, we want to see Nick Chubb. We want to see Nick Chubb. We want to see Nick Chubb. And then he got 4 carries in one game, went for like 88 or something. And it was like, oh, okay. That's what I want. I want Brooks to get his 18 plus every game. And then that game that Baxter takes 8 carries and goes for 90, then it's like, okay, cool. Then that's when it starts, really cutting in. And it's like, okay, then now it's a 50-50. And then in that 50-50, then Baxter plays him again. Okay, then it's a 60-40 inverse with Baxter. That's how I would attack that as a coach. I wouldn't even entertain giving Baxter more than 35% of the opportunities in the backfield until it's like apparent that he's 100% and apparent that he's, head and shoulders, not head and shoulders, but at least, earing up above Brooks.
But that's the thing is, I get that, but he had made that decision.
He got the starting job. I know, I get it, but that was a month ago.
It is. Scott in Texas he must be writing in from about a month ago asking if we think Nair is going to play. No, of course he's not going to play. That sounds like a question from about a month ago. Like
maybe in the last drive. Maybe
Texas is up 57-0.
Like he won't get in. He won't get in until the staff has decided that it's time to bench Jonte Cook and Casey Kane.
He can't come back next year, can he?
Yeah, I think
he's a redshirt senior, isn't he?
Thought he was a
Nair. No, Nair's younger than that.
He's still he can come back for at least.
He only had the one season.
I always get mixed up about the stuff with the transfer rules and whether there's still a COVID. Is there still a COVID thing going? Like
he probably still qualifies with a COVID, but I think you have to get like an exemption for it.
Cockamamie's business. Yeah, but he could definitely come back. Yeah, but for me, it's the Worthy more.
Like the Worthy at 64.5.
Yeah,
love it.
And then I just think with the Jay Brooks, maybe just more than the yards. I know he's going to fall into the box at least for at least one touchdown. I'm more interested in the fantasy score for him. What do we need? If we get 2 touchdowns, he's going to probably catch 1 to 2 balls, so we'll get 1 point in PPR from that. Get 13, 15 yards receiving. So now we're talking 14.5 points right there. Oh God, yeah. I mean, even if he just gets the 1 touchdown, we're talking about then 8.5 points via the touchdowns alone. We just need basically if he only gets in the 1 touchdown, it makes it a little bit closer. It feels like he's probably going to get in
the rushing, dude. Take the rushing.
Take the rushing over the fantasy.
I take rushing over points. Rushing's too easy.
It's too easy. I don't think it's that easy, but I mean, I think you're kind of talking me onto it a little bit. I mean, your points about Baxter make sense. I mean, Baxter played 27% of the snaps last week, and if he's better this week, I would envision him playing more snaps. So it's just I'm not sure that I see a total lock there.
What about Sanders? 47.5 receiving yards, 11.5 fantasy score. You want to touch?
The reason. Yeah, the reason why is because it's like his target share just fluctuates so much from game to game. Mm-hmm. I can understand why you want to attack the seams of that defense, but man, and here's the thing about JT Sanders, he's kind of just turned really good and really dependable, right? He's only really been a no-show in 1 game this year, so. I think I would like it better than A.D. Mitchell, who I could just never figure out, who's gonna be a sub 15% target share guy, but just a big play threat. That seems to be like the profile that he's kind of interestingly kind of fallen into so far. So that's where I would go there.
Any of these Jalen Daniels?
I'm still going over 24.5 rush yards. I know Cody put up a good point about it. I think that there's gonna be one of these times where Jet Bush gets back there and he completely whiffs on a tackle and the contain gets blown and he gets there's gonna be a couple of those plays where he just gets free and it's completely off script. And even with the sacks and stuff like that, there are gonna be a couple where he gets big first downs and he gets a little bit loose because like I said on the Prize Picks show, I think that they're gonna beat him. But I mean, they're going to put up. They're going to get yards. So they're probably going to put up some points. They're going to move down the field at least some. And I think in some of these spots where he's under the pressure and stuff, the pocket collapses. He's going to step up. He's going to fiddle his way out of there like he does. And he's going to I know he hasn't been running for as much lately, but he hasn't been playing this Texas defensive front. They're really tough, man. It's like if he has a chance to wiggle away and kind of get out of that, get free into open space, he's going to tuck that football and be a baller. So. I'm going to I take the more on the 25.5 and I win that final take.
I know we all know you got Kansas winning this game.
I don't have that. I don't have that. Let's see. All right, and to the chat, man. Just love all you guys. We got Jay Ward, Scott in Texas, ATX, Big Rich, Scion Sapper. Good to see you here. Oh, he says he took the Quinn Ewers over on the yards. JT Moore, Caleb Williams over on passing touchdowns, and Luther Burton over on. Oh, well, good. It's great to see you correlating your plays there. Look at me after 14 votes, certainly ahead. And you can also vote with your like button for this show. Please like the show, subscribe to the show. If you'd like to sponsor the show, you can always email me, alex@rosterwatch.com. Certainly open to hearing from you on that. Also, if you have any videos you'd like to send or any photos, dude, if you got photos of your kid at the game doing the hook 'em, you got like anything you want to send pictures of your setup. I want you guys to be part of the show. As you know, man, I'll put up your photos. Like I want you guys to be part of this. So, yeah. And starting next week, we're going to have Football with Friends merch for you.
Ooh. Oh, that got a vote. That got a vote when you put the hat up.
We're gonna get it. We're gonna get it all dialed in. We're getting it all dialed in. I'm gonna loop Blake and Hector in together, and Blake can be like, and Blake can tell Hector that the chat thinks that the orange color is off. I do think that it's the lighting though. This lighting in here is just. I don't know, man.
As we know, y'all want to kind of give your overall final thoughts on Texas and Kansas before we start to get towards the end of the show here?
Sure. I'll go first. So my final take, Texas wins. Might be a little bit hairy whenever I'm on the radio, which will probably be good because I won't be pacing around like a manic idiot. I'll just be talking. I'll be yelling at the radio listeners like a manic idiot. I do think that coming into the second half, Texas wears these guys down. Keep an eye on the center, number 50. He's shoved back into oblivion against Murphy and against Sweat. Keep an eye on number 63, the left guard, who has two names on the back of his jersey. I can't remember what his name is. He's going to be he's going to be shaking like a leaf at some of these guys. Like this could actually be a game where Alfred Collins can do. He's the kind of guy that Alfred Collins can like scare into making a mistake and kind of making an impact. They have one tackle that's okay, right? They have an okay left tackle. So that'll be an interesting kind of matchup to watch for Barron Sorrell. This needs to be an Ethan Burke good game for him. Keep an eye on Anthony Hill and the way that he's used in the specific packages, whether or not they use that. I would like to think that they would use a lot of that Maurice Blackwell package with Anthony Hill in this thing. Just get as much speed as you can with the linebackers. Get Anthony Hill in there as much as you can with the good work that he did spying Jalen Milroe. It feels like Anwar wrote in the war room. He can't say exactly why right now because he obviously probably got it from I'm not saying this from Anwar. I'm reading between the lines about he's a good journalist. He says he can't really tell you why, but he said keep an eye on Jade Barron's role in this game. To me, it feels like they're going to have guys at different levels spying the quarterback here and trying to make sure that those 24.5 rushing yards that I bet the moron aren't going to happen. So that stuff, but more speed on speed from the linebackers. Intentional downhill focus on the quarterback and the quarterback contain from those guys where you bring that element of speed from the linebackers and from the corners or from the nickel corner and just defensive violence and brutality and overwhelming power on the defensive line. Those things are going to just wear on Kansas through the course of the game. And by the second half, they'll be playing good complementary football, putting the Texas offense in good positions and giving them good opportunities to score. So that's how I see the game playing out. What did I say earlier? Did I say 38-14 something? Or no, 38-21. They might not do that.
Look at this guy.
I just get this feeling, Cody. I get this feeling, man. I'm doing it for all the Texas fans. I'm doing it for. I care about the people in chat, Cody. Okay, I care about them, and I don't. And look at. Oh no! Come on!
You're doing it for you.
I'm sinking in the polls.
You're just
the messaging. Look, I care about
trying
the
to feed them the Kool-Aid.
I care about the chat. I care about the chat. right?
All right, it's
BS.
Cody's turn.
The minute, wait.
I call BS.
I still have my time. Like the minute I say Texas is gonna go in there and they're gonna boat race these idiots. It's gonna like
They're
it's
not
gonna
gonna
be
boat race
89 to 0, all this stuff like that. Then I will have cursed Texas to go lose the football game, and I will not do that to the chat, Cody. But I'll bet you're about to do it to him. You're about to jinx everyone.
Cody's going to predict a beat down under the old oak tree Saturday at 2:30.
I'm not going to jinx anybody. I'm not going to jinx anything. Everybody's been talking, Kansas has got a chance in this game, blah, 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 blah. Right? The talent is not there for Kansas, right? They're coached very well. Jalon Daniels is a very, very good college quarterback. Devin Neal's a good running back. But when I look at this field, all I see is Kobe Bryant on the defensive side of the ball that I'm worried about. If you don't target him and you stay away from him, you won't have a turnover problem. Quinn stays in his pocket, doesn't throw the ball 47 times. Texas is going to be A-okay. You're going to run the ball a bunch early. You're going to get up early. 73-28 in the second half for Texas this year. Some of the best in college football that you've seen all year. I talked about the long plays for Texas this year on defense. 7 times. 7 times. End of game. Field goal, downs.
Or the long drives.
The long drives, yes. Yep. Last drive touchdown, that was against Rice in week 1. Their defense has held strong in those long opportunities. A lot of the points that Kansas has scored this year, 41 out of 105 points have come on drives of more than 10 plays. Touchdown, field goal. Those touchdowns won't happen against Texas. Watch Kobe Bryant on the Kansas defense. Throw the ball at Mello Dotson, number 3. So don't throw it at 2, throw it at 3. Worthy's going to have a big game, full for 140 and 2. I already said that. This is going to be, you talked about last week, he took that edge up with the speed down the sideline. This is going to be coupled on top of that against another team that is ranked and perceived as a great team. I like the comment in the chat from earlier. This is the Colorado meets Oregon game that we saw last week, but on a lower scale because obviously Kansas is not looked at like Colorado's looked at. I think Binda, I think Hill are the 2 most important people on the Texas defense in this game, containing a Jalon Daniels when that defensive line eats Kansas's offensive line. I think their center's fine, but I don't think the guards are very good. I think that's going to allow Texas to get upfield. And when Jalon Daniels does try to roll out, it's going to be Binda and it's going to be Hill right under his chin strap, stopping him. On the offensive side of the ball, I talked about Worthy in the quick game, talked about Brooks getting that work. I think Brooks is going to have a receiving touchdown in this game. I'll leave that out there. BYU beats Kansas 7 out of 10 times, 7.5 out of 10 times, I would say, watching back in that game. I got 45-16 Texas. I want to go 45-9, but I do think there's going to be a long ball in there somewhere that Texas gets beat over the top on. I think that's all I got as far as that game goes, top to bottom. And just like that.
Again, I had it from the very beginning. I had it from the very beginning.
Oh, and the last one I wanted to say was Jalen Ford. Blake's got some pictures I wanted to ask Alex about. We got a couple of minutes, right? Yeah. I got some pictures that I wanted to ask Alex. It's a 3-part. It's 3 pictures, 3 different things. Bing, bing, bing of this linebacker on BYU. This is you can see the option, the quarterback and the 2 backs right here. Watch number 2 here. And Alex, you're an offensive line. You know offensive line more advanced than I do. Just watch these 3 plays go through and tell me how you perceive this play and what the Texas defense would look like in this situation.
All right.
So here's play 1. Here's frame 1.
Frame 2.
And the ball's handed off to the running back that's right next to the quarterback.
Hold on. Go back to frame 1 again.
Okay.
So who gets the ball? The guy to his left or the guy to his right?
I didn't even think about that. I think it's the guy that was to his right.
To his right.
And the guy to his left goes behind the quarterback.
Yeah.
And you had 2 pullers.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So go back to the first one again.
Yep. Here's first one.
Okay. So this is interesting design. All right.
Here's second one.
What the hell?
So you had 2 pullers, and then 55 is the left guard who hops over, and he's now the lead blocker through this hole.
Yep.
And 2 bites on it. For what? He bites on Daniels taking the ball.
Yep.
Now watch 3. You got the lead blocker out.
Yeah.
Right tackle's holding, and they don't call it. And what I'm asking you is, if you go back through that, what happens in this? I think Jalon Ford is much more.
No, there's just too much. There's just this is the design on this is probably looks fine. The execution is terrible. They're trying to do some kind of what they're trying to do is some kind of counter, but they're trying to pull two over there with the action to him to whatever this kind of this option stuff is over here, right? And so that's what they're trying to do off too. But the fact is, they've just left too much space with all this pulling and all these long down blocks. Like what Texas is going to like, this thing would have never happened here with like 60.
That's what I'm saying.
So with 62, like that play is a gift that it worked out. That would never work versus Texas. They're way too gap disciplined.
And I clipped that one because that was one of the ones where I was like, this is like kind of what their offense seemed like to me. Is there's a lot of this option stuff, and Daniels is a key in that. Devin Neal's a key in that, and that's not even Neal. I can't remember that guy's name is like McDuffie, I think it is. And he only had a couple carries in that game, but I was just like, this isn't here. This defense is just an entirely different ball game, and they were in the game the majority of the time. That was my take.
All right, it's a Flex Friday. You can go to prizepicks.com right now, and you can get a 100% deposit bonus. But here's the thing: tonight, as long as it's a flex pick with players playing tonight, if you lose, you get your money right back, so it's free. Cody, what are we looking at here? Are there any edges that you have for tonight's games?
Yeah, it was on Cincinnati. The Cincinnati game, there was a couple. I'm trying to pull it up. But it was Emory Jones, and I think Brendan
receiving yards.
Brendan something in receiving. Yeah, if you type in sin in the search bar, it should pop up like Cincinnati ones, and then etc. Braden Smith was under, and Emory Jones passing under.
Under, man, look at Roto-Grinders is projecting it over. So I'll go with the under for the rush yards or
Braden Smith receiving under.
Oh, Braden Smith. Okay, I thought you said Emory Jones. Okay, so
Emory Jones passing under.
Okay, so Emory Jones. Is there any of his associated pieces that you think go under as well, or anything that they said?
Yeah, that was the other guy, Braden Smith.
Emory Jones pass yards, 219.5. Is it 219.5 that it goes under?
Let's see here. Yes, 219.5 projected 198.7.
Hold on. BYU's playing tonight. Where's their running back? I'm picking it under.
Yep, he's on the list.
LJ Martin, is that their running back?
LJ Martin, yeah.
So that's less. Slovis, of course, is going over, right? He's a G. He's going over, isn't he?
That's the game I think you want to target right here. So yes. So Braden Smith is the receiver for Cincinnati, under. Emory Jones, quarterback for Cincinnati, under. And then let's see here. LJ Martin, rushing yards.
Less.
And then Keaton Slovis. Keaton Slovis is a 235.5. The projection is 236.2.
Okay, and then who is Slovis' best receiver? I don't even know. They got a tight end at 51.5. Is he their best?
Chase Roberts projected 47.8. Numbers 37.5.
Perfect. So we get some correlation there with that. And then there was one other that
Braden Smith is the wide receiver for Cincinnati.
And that is what? Over or lower? Less. Oh, God, look. It's too sharp. Look at this. They're limiting me again.
They've done it again.
Okay.
It's too good.
Let me just see.
What's it mean? You have one more?
No. It's just they took my odds down on that last one from 10x to 7x.
Yeah.
Let me just see. Is there anything else? The pass yards I saw earlier, I thought I saw this one that looked. What about Brennan Armstrong? It looks like what's the projection on him?
Let me pull it up. Brennan Armstrong, 257.
Oh, okay. So 243.5. We're going to go over that, right? Golly, only 20x. All right. Well, at least it's free. There we go. We're going to place entry. At least it's free, and at least it's fun. And we always have fun here. Football with friends. Always, of course, fun as hell. We can't thank Cody enough for being on here. You can follow him on Twitter at Carpentier. NFL. Thank you guys so much in the chat for being here, man. Love all you guys. Thank you so much. If you have questions for me, comments, if you have comments about the kind of merch that you'd like us to make, like we're going to be getting with the merch guy right now to sort of talk about it. So let me know what you think. If you are interested in sponsoring the show, you want to send me some photos, you want to send me videos, pictures of your kids doing the horns up, you guys having a backyard barbecue, whatever it is that you want to do, man. It's always, this is the place that we're going to come together and we're going to have some fun. So thank you so much to Cody. For Blake, I'm Alex. We're done.